Hey guys, welcome back to Black Hills and Eastern Railroad. Today we're taking a look at the second in a three-part series on the Bowser SD40-2 representing a GMD prototype. And I thought it would be worth mentioning what the differences are between the London, Ontario built SD40-2 by GMD and the USDM, or at least domestic manufacturer US locomotive of the same model name. So I wanted to get a couple of details out of the way about these models and themselves that we're looking at. This is a Bowser 2016 release that we're taking a look at. This engine was factory painted, and then this locomotive is a Kato that I custom painted several years back and did my own sound install on both of these. The one representing the one closer to the camera here is a 6300 series ex-Milwaukee Road unit that was manufactured in the United States at LaGrange, Illinois. The rear one here is a SD40-2 manufactured by GMD in London, Ontario for the Canadian Pacific Railroad. The DM&E 6359 was built in May of 1974 as Milwaukee 193. This was a USDM EMD manufactured SD40-2 at 3,000 horsepower, powered by a 645 16-cylinder turbo. This model is an early production Kato, which represents the very first SD40-2s built with the chicken wire radiator inlets, which was common to both the US manufacturer and the Canadian manufacturer prototypes of that time period. The DM&E 6097 was built in December of 1980 as Canadian Pacific 5974, a Canadian-built GMD SD40-2 at 3,000 horsepower, also powered by a 645 16-cylinder turbo. This HO scale model was released by Bowser in 2016. This HO scale model was released by Kato in May of 1999. So from a railpan's perspective, there are quite striking differences in these two prototypes. So from a railroader standpoint, these locomotives are basically identical mechanically. Bowser got the cabs on these engines right. The Canadian-style class lights that this unit would have been manufactured with are portrayed as having been removed here at this point. I did check back in Bowser's release, and the CP units that are still painted CP have these three. There's three lenses here on either side of the bell on the number boards. That would indicate the train status out on the real railroad. Then, of course, turning our attention to the headlights, and I'll turn the noses to the camera here, like you'd expect on the DM&E or on basically any U.S. manufactured, just your headlights on the number boards here. On the Canadian unit, you've got your bell here between the number boards and the Canadian-style headlight mounted in the nose. Most of the time, the bill placement was up to the railroad. It seemed to be a uniquely Canadian thing to have it up here on the cab between the number boards. A lot of railroads supported the bell be down here next to the fuel tank. That's the way Kato portrayed theirs. Milwaukee had theirs mounted immediately behind the fireman's side of the cab, there behind that air intake, and that's what I've portrayed here on this particular model. That's neither Canadian nor domestic manufacturer, but I just thought I'd point that out. Then to the rear section of the locomotives, definitely Canadian style rear end here on the GMD unit, the single sealed bulb with the double bulbs, and I'm not sure why they did that. If I wouldn't want to have to be backing up on a cold, dark winter day, and then that single bulb goes out. I don't know what they were thinking there, but saving money, something like that. Not sure. But that's a very uniquely Canadian thing. And then again back here on the rear end, the Canadian style step wells, and then the Canadian style crossover platform. You see here on the DM&E 6359 that I've got a weed cutter plow. That was actually a Milwaukee feature that was left over. And then here again, we did note the Canadian style lift rings on both ends of the locomotive, which the USDM model does not have. And then again, the Canadian style crossover platform or crossover handrail here. And then with regard to that plumbing on the long hood here, it isn't necessarily a Canadian specific thing, but certainly is a giveaway that this is a CP prototype. Thanks for taking a look at this video. Again, this is the second of 3. We'll be moving on later this week to installing DCC into the 6097, and so we'll hopefully you'll stick around for that. If you like this content, click that like button, subscribe for more, leave us a comment, and hopefully if I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one.